Hello everyone, how you doing today? My name is Allison and welcome to my channel. This is Green Goddess Plant Seeds and Stitching, where I share my adventures in gardening and crafting and cross stitch. So welcome everyone. Welcome to a garden chat. So I'm just gonna show you what we got going on in our little grow space in the basement here and share with you some of the tomato varieties that I'm going to be getting started today. Okay, so this is our grow space. We've got several tables in here. One is full. We finally got some fans. They're not the best fans, but at least they will help with a little bit of air circulation down here. And that'll help control the humidity and temperature and everything else. So we got our earlier transplants are looking very well. These peppers. A lot of these are peppers here. There's some petunias there. These ones here are some ricotta peppers, which I'm very excited to try. I'm hoping those do well this summer for us. We've got some more flowers. We've got some snapdragons and some marigolds here. These are some hanging basket tomatoes. Then that's a marigold. I'm hoping to pick up the hanging baskets late this week. I'm going into Saskatchewan tomorrow. Today is March 31st, so tomorrow is April 1st. And yeah, I'll be picking up some pots for those and hanging baskets so that when I pot them up, they can go directly into the pots. And then they can just fill out. Here's some more of our peppers. This I'm absolutely loving. This is a jalapeno. So it's a variegated jalapeno. Isn't that absolutely stunning? I love that. I think that is gorgeous. So I'm hoping those do well and produce lots for us. There's a few more over here. I had 10 seeds for the jalapeno. 7 came up and 2 did not have any variegation on them. So that's one of those that didn't have the variegation. So that's interesting, but I'm still excited to try them. We got some thyme bombs and some kimchi peppers. We got some onions. I've got some more zinnias in here, and these are my wave petunias. I've got tidal wave carmine, tidal wave silver, and yeah, and there's a few more things over here. We got some house plants and stuff over here. My Christmas cactus are blooming. I still have a forest of aloes. I did get rid of quite a few this past weekend. I got geraniums that are blooming like crazy. Aren't those gorgeous? I do need to repot those this summer, give them some fresh soil. These are some transplants that I did the other day, so they're fairly small still. More petunias, peppers. I think I did some asters as well, just to give them a bit more room. And yeah. So yeah, that's our little grow space behind me here. We did bring in another table right back here. It's not quite set up yet, but I told Glenn that we'd probably need it because it is getting to be that time of year when we'll have far more plant starts and seed starting and all that. I've got the tomatoes to start. I did start the cherry tomatoes yesterday, and today I'm doing all the larger slicers today. I can't believe the 1st of April is tomorrow. Where did March go? Honestly, it's just flown right by. I kept thinking I still had 2 weeks, but nope. Nope, it's now. I gotta get these going now. And of course, April is when we do start the bulk of our seeds. So not just the tomatoes, but you know, things like the cucumbers we start probably towards the middle to the late April. Same with any pumpkins and squash, cabbages. I usually do a early sowing of beets inside because you can do that with beets. You can also do it with Swiss chard. So things like lettuce, we want to get lettuce going. I'm going to try really hard to do some nice romaine heads. That's kind of my goal I've set for myself, or the challenge I set for myself this summer. Is I want some really nice, good heads of romaine lettuce. And yeah, and then I'll probably start some more flowers because I like flowers in the garden. I know Glenn doesn't, but I do. Anyway, so yeah, it's going to be a busy time of year. We're getting into that busy time. In terms of weather, it's been not too bad. It's been chilly, you know, it's been below freezing consistently, so nothing's really melting. The surrounding fields are still covered in snow. I know around Saskatchewan the fields are bare, so yeah. It might end up being a late spring start for us in terms of getting out into the fields and into the garden. Although next week it is supposed to warm up and be consistently above freezing, so it doesn't take long for the snow and ice to melt if it's consistent like that. So very soon, very soon we will be in the garden outside. All right, so let's get into some tomatoes. Where to begin? So because we're not doing a plant sale, I've really tried to scale back what I'm starting. And I've really reined in the number of varieties that I'm starting. Although I kind of went overboard with the cherry tomatoes, but that's okay because it's nice to have a nice mix of colors and flavors when it comes to cherry tomatoes. Because when we sell them in the clamshell, so you can see all the pretty colors of the tomatoes. So anyway, yes. So thoughts on tomatoes. Okay, so first up, for purposes for selling at the market, I'm trying to really focus more on that, and then sort of my weird and wonderful ones, I'll probably only grow maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 at the most of those ones. So to start things off, we are going to be doing Early Girl. This is a bush version of Early Girl. And I've also got bush beefsteak. These are very good, old, reliable standbys. The Early Girl says 54 days. I don't know if that actually works in our garden. However, with these 2 bush varieties, the last 2 years, I have experimented with no staking. So not providing them any kind of support and just letting them kind of sprawl on the ground. Because they're a determinate variety, they shouldn't get to be that big, horrible mass of tomato vines in theory. Like I probably give them a quick pruning early on, but no staking or support, and just letting the vines grow on the ground. And that, for these 2, has worked quite well. I'm very happy with the results. They've been way more easy to pick, quite easy to pick, because I know they just seem to do better. I don't know what it is, but I'm very happy with the results of not staking these. So I'll be doing that with these again this year. Yeah, so the Early Girl is kind of one of our standbys. It's a good, reliable, standard green tomato. I'll also be doing, we got a couple of new varieties here that we ordered from Varieties. One is the Primo Red. That one. And then we got one here that I think Glenn must have picked called Scotia. We'll see how well that does in the garden. These are pretty standard red round tomatoes, beefsteaks. So it says, the Scotia says it's a popular and well-known variety for green tomato relish. So that's interesting. We've never tried green tomato relish, though we've thought about it. All right, and then in terms of plum or paste tomatoes, I've grown numerous different varieties of plum and paste tomatoes over the years. Let's just do that. There we go. And I always end up coming back to the San Marzanos. They're just so reliable. They produce well. They're a nice size. And in our garden, they seem to be more resistant to blossom end rot than other varieties. So this is the one that we keep coming back to. And then this year we are trying one called Plum Regal. So we'll see how all that works. Last year, there were certain varieties that had major problems with blossom end rot. I don't know why, but some were hit really hard and others not at all. So I'm not sure where the problem was. But in terms of heirloom and weird and wonderful varieties, I am going to be growing German pink. We did this one last year and I was very happy with it. Again, it didn't seem to get the blossomette rot that other varieties got. It seemed to be a little more resistant. Even though we tried to be consistent with our watering, we have drip irrigation, so we could turn it on and off whenever we needed it to, and yet we still seem to end up with lots of blossomette rot. So I don't know. So yes, German pink, we're growing again because I was very happy with it. Nice, big, juicy tomatoes, big slicers, great for, you know, slicing, you know, having a slice on a sandwich or a burger. Awesome, very good, very good. Next up, this is Beaver Lodge Slicer. I've grown it before, but not in a while, so I'm hoping it will do well this year. I think it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more early, I think, but it's smaller than the German pink. And then two new varieties to me. This one is called Goose Creek. And this one is purely for the novelty of it, and it's called Silvery Fir Tree. And this one, the foliage is supposed to be quite unique on this one. So I'm kind of intrigued by it. I want to give it a go. So this one, I might only grow maybe 2 or 3 plants, you know, just for the sake of having something different in the garden. And then I always like to have some bicolor and yellow tomatoes in the garden. So this year I am going to be growing the Golden Oxheart. I've tried this before and I have not had success with the seeds even germinating. So I'm going to give it one more go and see what happens with it. Hopefully it will produce something this year. I'm also going to be growing pineapple, or also known as anise. I grew this one 2 years ago and it was gorgeous. Big, huge, juicy, sweet, bicolor tomatoes. Absolutely amazing. I've also grown the anise noir, the black pineapple, which is also very good. But I think I'm just going to stick with this one this year. And then the last yellow bicolor one is called Oaxacan Jewel Beefsteak. This is a heirloom from Mexico. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I love that bicolor. The coloration, even like on the inside, I love how that looks. That's awesome. Okay. And then I also like to have some black tomatoes in the garden because I think they're so striking, absolutely striking. In the past, I've always grown Black Beauty, which is my favorite, one of my favorite black tomatoes because it's almost entirely black. But this year I'm going to give it a break. I've got 3 other varieties that I'm going to be growing instead. So the first one is OSU Blue. So this apparently is the first tomato variety that was developed by Oregon State University that has the anthocyanin pigment in it. And it's the anthocyanin that makes it black, that black blue, deep black blue, purple color. That's the anthocyanin, and it's the same pigment that's in blueberries that makes them blue. So I'm excited for this one. Then I'm going to give this one a grow. I bought these seeds last year. It's called Queen of the Night. I never did get it going last year, so I'm going to try them this year. They look like a small salad type tomato. And then the very last one is the Paul Robeson tomato. So this seed pack is from Hudson Valley Seeds, I believe this one, their art pack. And the Paul Robeson is a very, very, very popular, very well-known tomato. It's sort of a brown, dusky brown, green tomato with excellent flavor. So I'm looking forward to these ones this year. And that are my tomatoes. If you want to give me a moment, I'll dig out all of my cherry tomato varieties and show you what we're growing for cherries. All right, so for cherry tomatoes, let's see here. Trying to sort out by color. So for red cherry tomatoes, I am trying Rito Sweet. This is a new one to me. Actually, there's quite a few new ones to me this year, so looking forward to that one. And I'm also doing Sweet Aperitif, which is my absolutely top favorite for cherry tomatoes. Sweet Aperitif. and it produces them in these big, nice, long, amazing trusses. It's awesome. And they're super, super candy sweet. I've got a tropical sunset, which is supposed to be a golden yellow. Yeah, a golden yellow color. And I've got strawberry cherry. That's a new one to me, so I'm not exactly sure what to expect from that one. I've also got an amethyst cream cherry. So this is supposed to be a yellow with purple shoulders. I've got a black opal, which I've grown this one before, but it's been quite a while since I've had it, so I thought I'd give it another go. It's supposed to be an improvement over a black cherry, so we'll see what happens. And then I've got indigo apple and indigo rose. So they're very similar, but the indigo apple is a little bit bigger. It's probably like a larger saladette type. But both of these have the anthocyanin coloration in them. So I think they look beautiful to me anyway. And then the last variety is the sun gold. These are awesome. They are so sweet. They're that nice orange cherry tomato with awesome sweet flavor. So looking forward to all of those. So these I started yesterday, and then I ran out of time, and so I'm back today getting the rest of the tomatoes started. So it's going to be a fantastic growing year. I hope it is. You know, I'm trying to stay positive, trying to stay in that positive frame of mind and keeping busy and just keep moving forward with everything regardless of what comes up, because you know what, there's always going to be challenges, let's say. So that is my update, a very quick update. In terms of actually starting the seeds, I've been using the 2.5-inch pots. Normally I would use the cell packs, like a four cell pack, but I'm using these this year just to try that and see if I like it any better. And so far I'm actually liking this better than the cell packs. So yeah, we'll see how that goes towards the end. I might still use the cell packs for things like cucumbers, cabbage, that kind of thing. The beets, I'll probably use those for. So yeah, so I just fill this with soil, you know, just lightly press it down, and then put my seeds on top, and then cover them, and then water them in, and make sure I have my tags, so everything's tagged, so I know what everything is. So that will be the rest of my afternoon. Yeah, in terms of life update, not too much. We did have back-to-back markets this past weekend. The 28th, March 28th, was an Easter market for the Meadow Lake Farmers Market, which we did really well at. We were very surprised at how well we did and how much we sold. It was great. It was fantastic. And then Sunday the 29th was the CD Sunday event here in Meadow Lake. So we still did quite well, considering it was just an afternoon. And we didn't take a lot of stuff. We kind of had a pared down selection of jams, and Glenn had a pared down selection of his 3D printing. And I did take a whole whack of aloes, and most of the small ones I managed to pass on to other people. I put a bunch of them on the freebie table, and of course they all went. So that was nice to move them on to people who want them and will enjoy them. Like, as you can see, I still got a whole bunch of aloe plants. I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do with them, but oh well. So yeah, it was a good weekend for markets, and now it's time to get focused on the garden. We don't have any markets scheduled for April, which is probably a good thing, because like I said, it's going to be busy just getting everything ready to go out into the garden. You know, once the snow melts and the fields dry up, Glenn's going to be chomping at the bit to get his field work done. So yes, it's going to be busy. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by and allowing me to share my adventures in gardening with you today. Thank you for subscribing and hitting the like button. Thank you so much. If you're waiting for another floss tube, that will be coming up, though it probably will be after the Easter weekend before I get one of those in. I just haven't had time to do a lot of stitching lately. So, but I'll be doing one of those floss tubes again real soon. So Until next time, do take care. Have a happy week. Have a happy weekend. Happy Easter to those who celebrate. And until next time, take care. Bye for now.